Hi, everyone. Bringing you live a very interesting fireside chat. This is a session I keep on saying is not for the faint-hearted. The reason is I have a privilege of hosting two gentlemen. I know them very dearly with a combined experience of 50 plus years in enterprises, GCC, Indian enterprises, uh, kind of startups to provider firms. What will get accomplished in the next 20 minutes, I can tell you, would be nothing less than astonishing. And the reason is simple. When the nuggets of wisdom from the experience comes out, the output has to be fantastic. And the theme per se is very, very apt, very appropriate, and absolutely, I would say, topical in the scenarios today when not only I would say the enterprises, GCCs are talking, even nations largely are also talking about that, which is AI strategy. Now, in terms of paraphrasing of the theme, what we're talking about is how and why AI strategy is critical for enterprises and GCCs for business growth, scalability, innovation, and transformation. On my left is Pankaj Rai. On my right is Sandeep Third. Now, as I mentioned, these two gentlemen need no introduction. But still, if I have to really call out their introduction in a very split second basis, I would say whatever one professional aspires to do in their journey, they've already accomplished. Which also means at the level of the juncture where we are today, where there are gyrations of businesses today on a daily basis, fungibility of the macro micro environment, and not to take out what happens in the morning when we wake up in the US is something very, very diabolical today. And I need not say the gentleman who's creating a furore today from the US, but more important is this quintessential approach of saying within this midst of, I would say, a bit of gloom, a bit of despondent environment, there is a silver lining. And that silver lining is about AI. Newspapers, news magazines, business publications, they're all touting AI to be the once in a lifetime revolution. And not to take out, in the last couple of years, we've seen how Gen AI has really become the most sought after business lexicon amongst the CXO. Now, one of the most critical denominator and underpinning of AI is AI strategy. Today, we've got enterprises which are looking to create AI strategy. And then on the other side, we also have GCCs which are also working in unison with the parent organization to talk about AI strategy. So in the next 18 to 17 minutes, what we would accomplish would be taking approaches from Pankaj and Sandeep about what facets does AI strategy include, what really goes into the making and the composition of AI strategy, how is it really different from the business strategy, or do they kind of, are coupled together? How exactly the next level of CXOs, senior leaders, executives should look into incorporating AI strategy in their GCCs or enterprises, and what exactly is missing today in terms of the guardrails, what one needs to bake in. So let me start with Pankaj in terms of this whole context about, and you've seen this journey coming from Feedback Ventures in your earlier avatar to Jekis, Standard Chartered, Dell, Wells Fargo, and now with Aditya Birla. You've seen a great change about how the MIS has become Gen AI today. Now we can give different names alongside that journey: big data, prescriptive analytics, data science, AI, ML, and all. But the fact today is that it's all about data to decisions. In your viewpoint over the years, what exactly you've seen from your personal and professional life, where you say, look, this is business strategy, this is AI strategy, and both can actually either work independently or coupled aside, they can work in a very, very different dimension.
Thanks, Samir, and good to see Sandeep also. And you almost alluded that both of us have done whatever needed to be done, and we should probably retire. So maybe before that retirement, we can share some nuggets of wisdom today.
No, I stopped that actually. I
So,
didn't elaborate further on that. So,
so Samir, I think in general, whenever something new turns up, we would like to have a strategy for that, right? I think earlier things were turning up at a very small pace. Now they're turning at a very large pace. But I think we have all probably learned that there has to be just one strategy first. So if you are in a company, it has to be the company strategy, and if you are an individual, then it has to be your own personal strategy. Because many a time in both sides, whether it is personal or professional, whenever a new thing shows up, that shiny new toys makes us distracted. And unless we have the overall strategy in place, some of these shiny new toys may not be very relevant. And we have seen, at least in the corporate side, whenever new technologies came in, lots of white elephants got created, never used, right? So I think AI strategy is no different. I think the first thing one has to clarify is what is your business strategy. Now, within that business strategy, and we do that nowadays, at least in our group, that within that business strategy, what are the areas that AI can influence? Now, AI can't influence everything, right? It can influence a few things, and then pick up the areas where it can influence, and therefore the AI strategy is framed with that business area which is in mind. So, for example, now in some businesses, there's very high amount of R&D. At this point in time, I don't think our capabilities are there to do a lot of work on that R&D research and so on and so forth. There are things outside, but not within our group. So R&D will not be included in our AI strategy. Maybe supply chain will be, because we believe that there's a lot of stuff that the AI can do that. So therefore, the AI strategy is framed in the context of the business strategy, and very specifically on what is the business KPI or the business idea that it can impact. And therefore, it has to be totally enmeshed with what you're doing in the business. Because unless we do that, I think the businesses don't take it seriously. And today, I think the opportunity actually is to use AI to reimagine business. I think earlier, most of the tools and technology probably were there to create efficiencies and some benefits. I think the biggest power of AI today is to actually totally reimagine your business. And unless you totally integrate it, therefore, with your business strategy and have routine conversations, iterative conversation with the business people, it won't work. In the past, IT could take a BRD document, deliver something, and maybe it worked. Many times it didn't. But today, it has to be an agile way of working. It has to be an iteration. It has to be an evolution. So that's what I think I have found.
so taking what Pankaj you mentioned with a great perspective, this reimagined business with AI. Sandeep, you in your previous corporate avatars have seen these Six Sigma, Kanban, JLT, different, I would say, management theories which became like huge kind of, let's say, in terms of corporate really looking at investing and gaining out of it. But suddenly we see those theories going away, or at least fading in the background, and AI coming as a Trojan horse in terms of really saying, look, it's almost like a genie, it can do everything. What is your opinion about AI first? And how crucial do you think, and I'm adding one more layer, is this AI strategy for GCCs as well as enterprises, please?
So I'm glad you picked up examples of things like Kanban and Six Sigma. The first thing that I'll say is that Six Sigma was effective in an enterprise only if the enterprise adopted it at scale. So Sandeep as an individual or Pankaj as an individual couldn't have decided that I will use Six Sigma for my piece of work and I'll get great benefits out of it. Yes, I'll get some benefits because my efficiency will improve, my variances will go out, my predictability of my performance will improve. But the true value of Six Sigma would come from the enterprise embedding it in everything that they do. Same is the case with AI. At an individual level, someone could be using ChatGPT, another person could be using Cursor for software development, so on and so forth. But the true impact of AI comes if it is deeply embedded in everything that the enterprise does. Right. So if I were to now take it, to the case of, in the context of GCCs, the first thing to kind of remember is what does GCC stand for? It could stand for Global Capacity Center or a Global Capability Center. If it is a Global Capacity Center, then all you are doing is you are, leveraging the cost arbitrage by moving very, very large number of people from a high cost geography to a low cost geography. Okay, nothing wrong in it. It's a proven business case, gives very quick measurable results. Okay, but it is different from creating a global capability center. If you are creating a global capability center, it's not about cost arbitrage. You are not trying to hire cheap talent. You are actually trying to hire the best talent available there in the market. And once you hire this talent, they have to now see how to adopt AI. And here also there are two models in which GCCs kind of operate with the parent. One model is where the GCC is divided into functional areas, and those functional areas report into the respective towers in the parent organization. So commonly it's referred to as one team across two geographies and stuff like that. Now in that model, the AI strategy has to be embedded in the entire team across the GCC and the parent. The GCC team alone cannot adopt AI on their own, or they can, but they'll get trivial results. Okay. The other model is where the GCC creates teams which are able to handle business problems, business outcomes entirely end to end. Now, if this is the structure and you are handing over this accountability to the team in the GCC, then the GCC can say, okay, our advantages, we are just starting off, it's a new team, let's be AI native, we will start with embedding AI in everything that we do. So, these are the practical realities. So when you are setting up the GCC, you have to figure out, how and when and where will this fit in.
Great. So if I take the next level in terms of the discussion, CXOs, business leaders, executives, senior executives are used to taking decisions basis gut, intuition, historical. Well, this is what has happened in the past. This is how it will happen now as well. Suddenly, AI comes in as a tool, as a technology, as an enabler or a catalyst, and challenges that decision making with a far more accurate kind of, let's say, output, what one can conceive. Now, particularly when we talk about AI strategy, and Pankaj, you mentioned about, companies are creating annual operating plans, they're making kind of AI where it's kind of, let's say, implementable. In that particular mode where the scenario today is very fungible, in fact, annual operating plans are actually losing the meaning because every day there is some new scenario which is emerging. So from a perspective of AI strategy, how do you both visualize that this could be a good fit, if not a really apt fit today, to manage what businesses are going through today?
And we have
Pankaj, you are breaking.
all seen and Sandeep and I.
No, I can't hear you either.
What we are saying is that if you make CXO insights as a specific goal, then you will get to engage with these CXOs very often. And if you do a few things, and especially with these LLMs and insight generation and summarization, you can do a lot of things that they would otherwise do. You can do chatbot and stuff. So we are prioritizing working with these CXOs to give them very specific market intelligence, very specific answers to the question that they normally have through dashboards and all of that. And in that engagement, make them a friend to this new technology, and hoping that when some of these simpler problems they can solve, then they can also get interested in solving much more deeper problem, making bigger investments. So in some ways, we are trying to use this as a low-hanging fruit because they are also very interested and excited. Everyone has used ChatGPT. They think, tell me what we can do. So we are utilizing that energy built up in the environment to say, this is our one goal. We'll work with your teams. And everyone has a bunch of analysts who are doing something or the other. And we are hoping that maybe we can create a CXO Insight kind of a common framework across everything and figure out some external data sources. So by the way, external data sources, one other big theme that we have picked up, because these days lots of public data has been available, especially in India. It's all available through many different sources, through government public sources. There are other data providers and all of that. So using external data, bringing some insights, combining with internal data is a big priority that we are prioritizing. And through that, winning the hearts and minds of the CXOs, and then trying to do far more complex thing is the strategy that we have adopted as a change management tool.
Great. Sandeep?
Yeah, I'll just add to that. So,
Will it work? Sandeep, you are a CXO. Will this work?
well, it works. It has to. The CXOs have to, start letting go of their intuition for a bit and start listening to data much more. I always take this example of way back when I was in Tesco. Tesco used to run a loyalty program called Club Card, which was at that time the most successful loyalty program in the history of loyalty marketing till that time. Okay. Now the program itself was very straightforward. Customers come into the store. First time they come, they sign up a form. In exchange for, in lieu of that, we give the person a card which identifies the customer. And after that, every time the customer visits the store, we are able to track, based upon his demographics, what kind of purchases he did, he or she did, etc. And we were able to do a lot of analysis around. Okay. Now, if you look at it, every retailer could have done the same thing. There's no magic in this. You have to get a form to be filled. You have to give a card. You have to have a data warehouse where you store all the data, and then you need to hire PhDs in statistics who will analyze the data and give the insights. Okay. So what made Club Card so successful in Tesco is that whatever analysis would come from the data, the CXOs of Tesco would act upon it. They wouldn't say, "Oh, I don't believe this data. I've got 25 years experience in the field. I know better, and this data, please ignore it. Listen to me. Look at my, gray hair or no hair, and just do what I'm telling you to do." Okay. So Tesco executives had the discipline to move their decision making to entirely database decision making. Now, same is the case with AI-based. Now AI-based analysis is the old Club Card on steroids. Okay, you'll get far more deeper insights, far quicker, with greater granularity and greater frequency. Okay. Now it's a bit of a leap of faith, especially when all this talk of hallucination, etc., is in the air. It's a bit of a leap of faith, but that's where the AI strategy comes in. You have to kind of figure out a way to make sure that the CXO gets the confidence that the insights coming through AI are not to be doubted, and then they are able to take real decisions based upon that data which comes. And that's what will really bring this thing to life. Otherwise, the AI, the LLM usage will go up, the productivity will improve, greater insights will come, but the business metric will not change because the CXOs are not adopting.
So Sandeep, let me touch upon what you said and maybe pick it from there and have you and Pankaj give a very quick opinion about that. The resistance or the inertia to change could be one of the impediment, and we are talking about not generically but largely kind of a thing. Second is this piece around building AI fluency first amongst the board, senior leaders, executive, because if that is not baked in terms of what possible, the art of possible of AI is, then getting into AI strategy could be a very, very distant dream altogether, right? Third is with the pace of AI catching up, specifically Gen AI, where the utopian situation is AGI systems will actually be almost the duplicates of the reasoning inferencing models. So in that mode, let's say 3, 4, 5 years from now, what do you guys think about, both of you, that this is exactly will happen in terms of decision making at the senior level? Will really AI replace the decision making or become more of a enabler, or there'll be still a lot of dependence on today how the decision making happens? And I'm talking purely at a very senior and strategic level, please. So some quick opinion on that, please, before we move to the next question.
Let me go first.
I think all of us are saying that.
Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. So in my opinion, human in the loop is going to stay there for a very long time to come. Okay. And this is not about whether the technology will be good enough or not. This is about whether, we will have the confidence enough to be able to let go. It's like, as you become senior as a leader, you are taught to delegate. Okay. And the key impediment in that delegation is the ability to let go and trust something beyond your control. So here also there is an element of letting go. I think it's a debate whether people will be willing to let go completely, and also whether letting go completely is good or not. I think letting go completely is not good. So human in the loop, in my opinion, will stay for a very long time to come.
Great. Pankaj?
I mean, we are all saying that this AI assistant and AI agents are like a junior analyst. Now, as humans, we are quite happy to sometimes delegate to a junior person. If they make a mistake, we say, okay, we invested in their learning. And if the issue is not big, we are okay. But if it was AI, we don't expect it to make a mistake. So I think it's just human that, we will have to have a human in the loop. And even if that makes the human learn, that's good enough. So to agree with Sandeep, that human in the loop is essential, because we do want others to also learn, because we have to also build up a new cadre of people who will grow up in the organization and do things. And only when we keep them in the loop, then they say the AI, they teach the AI or learn from its mistake. I think they are also learning. So our duty is also to coach and help others to learn and come up.
So instead of human, we should replace with the question what I asked. CXO in the loop will always remain, right? More important,
at every level will remain.
So quickly jumping on to something which is pivotal. Every AI strategy should have those identification of the blind spots so that the models don't hallucinate. Second, with so much at stake in terms of AI strategy, because that almost becomes a white paper or a blueprint for the organization to implement. In your journeys, what you have seen in your current or previous roles, what should actually be considered by the senior executives, leaders, CXOs, to ensure that AI strategy and implementation goes hand in hand, and it's not then paved with a lot of those hiccups in terms of ethics, compliance, governance?
So in our team, we are a large conglomerate. So we have at least borrowed the idea from G that create a common language. It's hard to do. And we have created that common language internally through our own implementation, our own lessons learned. And I have said that to you once upon a time when you and I met, was this 3W framework of ways of thinking, ways of working, ways of doing. Essentially, there's a strategy layer, there's an operating model layer, and a technology layer. So we are saying that this whole strategy has 3 layers. And sometimes I say it's the science, commerce, and arts, all 3. And therefore, it is not seen as just a technology strategy, because many a time people think AI strategy is a technology strategy. We are trying to tell them that it starts with the strategy first, you implement the technology, and then you also sustain through an operating model which has talent, funding, and adoption, and so on and so forth. So that's the way we are trying to do it, creating a common language and framework which we can relate to, which we can apply, and everyone can use.
Great. Sandeep?
Yeah, I would just kind of add on to that, agree with what Pankaj is saying. That's a very useful framework, and I've seen it being used in multiple places successfully. I think it's also very important to focus on some key areas when you are implementing AI. So in my mind, explainability is very important. So if you have explainability at the core of your AI strategy, then at any point of time, if you want confidence on whether this recommendation or this decision coming in from the AI stack is right or not, you have a way of justifying it to yourself, to your customers and other stakeholders, right? So these kind of elements in the framework, if you build in, you will get greater success. And same goes with guardrails and all those things.
Awesome. So rapid fire as a part of the closing in the session. If you have to take in one ingredient, just one ingredient, which is the most crucial or critical to make and design AI strategy, what that ingredient would be? And anyone can go
Business
first.
strategy.
Sorry?
Business strategy.
Business
that is where
strategy.
we started.
Okay, without that,
Business strategy, that's where we started.
Great. Sandeep, you got to give a different answer now.
Since Pankaj has already said that, I'll go with reimagining and retraining your talent.
Reimagining and retraining your talent or reskilling your talent. Wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. No, I think if I really sum up what both of you said, and we encapsulated, I would say, multiple dimensions in this Fireside chat. This ability to perceive the next level of business can only come in when there is adaptability at the top level. And Sandeep, you emphasize in terms of what GCC should be doing from a capability to, or rather capacity to capability perspective, not the other way around. And Pankaj, what you illustrated rightly towards the end is without a business strategy, this is just a FUT approach kind of a thing. Nothing will fructify or lead into fruition. So I think more importantly for the audience, it's important, and the stakeholders who are looking at creating AI strategy is to first understand your business imperatives in totality, understand how the technology plays that role in terms of creating that differentiation, scalability, impact, and third, also ensure that there are enough guardrails in place so that no kind of a possible mishap or kind of a vested kind of a, let's say, bias happens kind of a thing. With that, I think it's more important for today to also understand that yes, human in the loop will always be there in the equation whenever AI strategy is being talked about. With that, thank you so much, gentlemen, for your great words of wisdom, and thank you so much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Samir, for
Thank you.
hosting this. Thanks, Pankaj.
Thank you.